Tough to come on the road and get a win, so we'll take it any way we can get it. We talked all week about being able to respond to a hostile environment, to a really good Arizona team, to the loss of some of our key players. And I thought our young men responded extremely well. It doesn't surprise me that they responded. That's what I expect out of them, and I think that's what they expect out of themselves. We had to overcome some injuries during the game. I think once again we relied on the strength of our team, which is right now our offensive line and the way they're playing, and other than that, just a good win on the road.
Questions?
What are your impressions of the defense in their first full game without Miles and Fabian?
We have a lot of work to do in terms of stopping the run game.
Can you talk a little bit about the composure on third downs? You guys were really good in that, especially in the first half.
I didn't even pay attention to what the stats are. I really only care about one stat, and that's who wins and who loses. So I don't know if we were good or not on third down. But if you say we were. I think it's a sign of, once again, going back to our offensive line. Picking up different types of stunts and pressures, and then Josh having the faith to hang in there, and then his ability to move and scramble and keep the play alive, get it down the field, guys getting open. So it was good.
I know you're going to say you need the game film, but your impressions of the good things your defense did tonight, what impressed you just from the sideline today? Your defense.
Well, I like to stop and run, so I will say nothing. Nothing impressed me.
So as the offense just thrilled you, but the defense?
Well, and when I talk about the defense, I'm not talking about the players, I'm talking about all of us. It starts with me, it starts with the assistant coaches, and then our players. We all have to do a better job, but for a team to be able to run the ball like that on us it's inconceivable to me. I've never seen anything like it. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Did the change up in quarterbacks for them?
If it did, it shouldn't matter. If it did, it's an excuse, and it's a lousy excuse.
Jim, you think his team responds better when people aren't believing in? And this week, some of the old skepticism came back with the injuries. Do you think you guys respond better than when everybody's propping you up?
I don't think it matters to us what people think of us. I think that it's the external expectations there for you guys to talk about. We talk about our own expectations. We have our own standard, and that's what we try to play to, regardless of who we're playing, where we're playing, what the circumstances are, or what people outside are saying.
You impressed with Josh's decision-making?
Much better. Yeah, he threw. The only thing that he didn't do well tonight was I don't like him taking those hits, and we already have talked about that, about sliding. That's not necessary for him. I'm talking about the one that got called back on the hold. He doesn't need to do that. He doesn't have to prove his courage to anybody. He's a courageous young man. We all know that.
As far as cashing in every time you run the red zone, how did you points?
Did we do that? Yeah, I didn't know that.
You were factored in the first five.
Was it touchdowns? Yeah. Well, that's been something we have not done well in the first three games. We have not been good in our red zone touchdown percentage, and so we've put some emphasis on it, and it must have paid off. I wasn't aware of that stat, but that's good to hear.
Coach, you had the ball 7 times in the first half and scored 6 touchdowns, and you put 42 on the board. What did that feel like in the first half?
Pissed we didn't score 7 out of 7. Oh, really? That's how we try to look at things, honestly. I know that's unrealistic. That's what you're supposed to do on offense, is drive down the field and score, and we were just efficient. We overcame a couple false starts early. I was a little nervous about that, to be perfectly frank. I didn't want it to appear to anybody on our team that the environment was going to affect us, and we had the 2 early false starts. That bothered me. I think the most impressive thing that our offense did was respond to the first Arizona drive. Arizona takes the ball down and scores on us, and they did a lot of good things tonight, but to me, the most impressive thing they did was respond on that first drive and take it down and score.
Did you have to make any sort of adjustment with the line after the first couple of series, the second half, when they had a couple of blitzes and stuff?
Yeah, that was really uncharacteristic of our offensive line, or our offense. And it's not all our offensive line, sometimes it looks like it. They were bringing a couple guys off the weak side, and we did have to adjust, yeah. I don't know that it was, we were dialed in at halftime, and we came out with great energy, but You know, they made a couple plays on us there. But our guys settled down like they should. You know, they're mature. They played a lot. They settled down. They took care of business.
It seems like, based on the early returns, that one of Rosen's skills is he kind of learns pretty quickly what he can do and what he can't do. Is that something that just from the gathered from the halftime against BYU to that you saw today?
You know what, Ted, I've seen it really since he got here, you know, in just little bits and pieces. It's one of the real impressive things about him. It's one of the things that I keep saying is impressive about him is that his ability to move from one play to the next and diagnose what happened and learn from it and move on. And yeah, certainly, you know, the way he came out and played in the second half of the BYU game, I'm thinking that had to give him a little confidence going into tonight and then starting off the way he did. But he's just a very composed young man, you know, very, very composed. Things don't get to him. He's like everybody else. He has nerves and, you know, gets a little uptight at times. But, well, first of all, in my whole career, I've never been around a starting freshman quarterback. So, so he's by far the best freshman starting quarterback I've ever coached.
How would you describe the way that Paul runs? I mean, it seems like...
Say that again,
How
Paul?
would you describe the way Perkins runs just in terms of getting everything out of lines, getting yards after contact, and, you know, a lot of times it'll look like it's going to be 5 and it's 10 or whatever. I mean, how does that look to you?
You know what? He's sneaky, slippery. He maximizes yards. He's always gaining a blade of grass. He's always, you know, pushing forward. I think he runs with really good pad level. I think the fact that he keeps his feet close to the ground when he runs, you know, he's compact and has a lower center of gravity, and so it's tough to get him going backwards. I think he's extremely patient in the way that he runs, and I think he's got a really clean understanding of where the hole should be. You know, and I think that's one of the things that great running backs understand is that, you know, they have to have a level of patience to let things happen in front of them and know when it's going to happen. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's innate because it's a learned skill, but there's also, you know, some innate ability involved in it as well.
Jim, getting that big lead early, what did that do for your defense?
Well, nothing. I mean, you know, they were moving the ball on us. You know, I mean, it didn't do anything. I mean, thank God we got it. You know, I don't know how the game. I don't know how the game would have played out if we hadn't got it. I mean, we'd have probably been all right. I don't know. I'm just disappointed in, like I said, starting with me and our as a staff, we're disappointed, and as players, they're very disappointed. You know, we don't expect to ever get the ball run on us like that. Ever. It's unacceptable, and it will not happen again.
Coach, out of all the left guards you've seen at the college level, how good is Kenny Lacy at that full block? It looks like this whole year he's been amazing, going to that right side and blocking, leading the way for Paul in those runs like the UNLV 56-yard one.
He's athletic, you know, and he can step over trash, and he can get his body going from vertical to horizontal pretty quickly. And he's just he's good. He's an athletic guy. And then I think they called him for a hold on one.
Yeah.
That long run that we had, and I didn't see it if it was a hold or not. You guys might have seen the replay, but no, he's athletic. It's a good looking offensive line. I mean, they're solid. They're really good, really good. They take a lot of pride in it. Like I said, as they go, we'll go as a team. I really believe that.
Jim, I know you're criticizing your defense, but are you happy overall with the way your team, after 4 games, is developing and maturing? Are you happy with the overall big picture?
Yes. Considering the competition we've faced, you know, considering, you know, the losses that we've suffered in terms of personnel, season-ending ones, I'm impressed with the way, like I said, these guys came into what was, you know, supposed to be a hostile environment and immediately responded. And then I'm also very impressed by their attitude in the locker room after the game. You know, you might think that it'd be jubilant, you know, everybody jumping around because we just won our first conference game on the road, and we were, you know, every talking head thought we would lose, but it wasn't that way. It's, you know, they're focused on getting better. It's a very mature football team, very mature.
Well, speaking of talking heads, did you show them game day today?
We don't. Like I said, we don't care about.
Well, you said talking heads though, so you must have seen it. You must have seen game day.
No, I'm talking about those guys, those big heads that they.
Forget it.
No, I don't show them stuff. We don't tap into the external motivation thing. That's not part of our culture. It has never been, and it will never be. We don't care about that stuff. We don't care what people say about us. We don't care what people think about us. We don't care what people write about us. All we care about is what we think of ourselves and how are we playing to our standard or not. That's really all that matters. None of that other stuff should ever come into the equation, and it doesn't. And that's why I say they're a very mature group, because, as you know, though, last year when we were picked to be all this and all that, we probably made mistakes by letting the noise in. And I think that we're much better equipped to handle that this year.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.